Okay, good evening, everyone. Um, I want to believe we can hear my voice. I hope it's audible enough. Apologies for the little shift of the class. I just needed to quickly go and do something I forgot to do so that I can go home tonight. So we will continue from where we stopped yesterday, and we'll proceed to other things that we're going to be doing. So I think yesterday we stopped at okay, sorry, I think HTML colors. That was where we stopped. So today we're supposed to start CSS, that's HTML styles. Styles in HTML. That's what we're supposed to start today. So we will kick off from there. I'd like to remind us by 8:15, the class attendance form will be available in the classroom. Please do go there and mark your attendance. All right. So we will proceed from here today. And as usual, I would like us to pay attention as much as God will help us tonight. We'll be able to assimilate and understand everything we will learn in tonight's class. I want to believe that we have been able to go back to the previous classes that we've had and we've studied as a revision and we understand. So, but I want to ask, do anybody have any question? Is there any question that you may have from the last classes that we've had? Any question at all from our previous classes that we've had? See. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Based on yesterday class,
Yeah.
oh, about the styling like background color stuff.
Yeah.
Like, can we also use background image?
Yes, we can use background image, but we'll look at that in full when we get to CSS.
Okay, thank you, sir. Because I was trying to just go outside the box.
No, that's fine. No problem.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so let's proceed with today's class then. Or is there any question in the chat? Someone is saying, is it just me? Or is can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me now. How is the volume? Is it better? I've tried to adjust it here, but let me try again. Can we hear me? Can we hear me? How about like this? Is it okay like this? Is it audible now? Okay. Okay, so I think, okay, thank you. I think we can proceed now. All right. So welcome to class today. Today we continue with HTML styles. In other words, CSS. CSS means cascading style sheets. Means cascading style sheet. All right. So CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. In fact, it can control the design of your website, layout, colors, fonts, sizes, different things. You can do that all at once for you. That is the power of CSS. CSS is very, very, very powerful. And it's good if you know it, you'll be able to really manipulate the styles that you use or the designs you're doing on your web page. So I would like us to pay attention for this course, under HTML, we're just going to try to touch on CSS a bit. By the time we start CSS class in full, after HTML, we will see the full CSS in action. All right, so we continue. So of course, I've said CSS is cascading style sheet. That's what it means. And they're used to format the layout of a web page. With CSS, you can control the color, font, size of text, spacing between elements, how elements are positioned, the layout and laid out, what background images or background colors are to be used, different displays for different devices and screen sizes, and much more. You can do a whole lot more with your CSS, with your cascading style sheet. All right, so we've been working with the CSS in previous classes, some of which we did yesterday. So today we'll just try and continue to learn more about CSS. So CSS can be added to HTML documents in 3 ways. CSS can be added to HTML documents in 3 ways. Number 1 is inline, by using the style attributes inside the HTML element. And that's the one that we've been exposed to. That's the one we've been using since. All right. The second one is by using a style element in the head section. So there's a possibility for you to define or declare some of your CSS style code in the head section of your HTML file. Then we have the third one, which is external, by using the link element to link to an external CSS file. I've used that a whole lot of times while building some web applications when I use ASP.NET to build web applications. So I use that a lot. That's what I even usually use a lot. And then the inline as well. I hardly use the internal one, that's the style element. I hardly use it, but depending on your programming style, you can use any of them. All right. So the most common way to add CSS is to keep the style in external CSS file. That's what most people do. However, in this course, we will use the inline and internal styles because it is easier to demonstrate and easier for you to try yourself. All right. So when we start proper CSS module, we'll then be able to see how to use the external one. For now, we'll limit ourselves to the inline and internal CSS because we are just learning it. So that's going to help us. So inline CSS, like I said, is what we've been doing already. So if you check out this code, you see H1 tag, then style attribute equals to color blue, and closed by semicolon. So what this means is that this text will be in blue color, and then this paragraph will be in red color. So an inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. All right, your inline affects just a single HTML element. An inline CSS uses the style attributes of an HTML element. So that's what we are seeing here. This is the style attributes here, and it's inside this H1 HTML element and also the paragraph element as well. So I hope we understand that. So we'll move on. So internal CSS, an internal CSS is used to define a style for a single HTML page. When you use the internal CSS, it only affects that particular page, okay? When you use inline CSS, it only affects the element where it appears, okay? When you use internal, it affects only that particular HTML page. I hope we are getting it now. An internal CSS is defined in the head section of an HTML page. We're going to see that soon with the style elements. So the following example sets the color of all the H1 elements on the page to blue and the text color of all the paragraph elements to red. In addition, the page will display with a powder blue background color. All right, so we're gonna see a code now, which I want us to code by ourselves. So let's try to write this code. So whip out launch your our friend here, your VS Code. Please launch it and let's start coding. So I want you to create a new file, just as I am going to be doing here. I'm just going to close all these ones. So I'm going to create a new file here. Just rename it to styles. I'll rename the one I already created to style. So create your own file and let's start coding. Please type the code that you have on your screen right now. Please let's type it out right now and let's continue to code. Okay. As usual, the way we do it, when you're done, you just put it in the chat window that you're done. We are typing our code. Let's do that as soon as we can, as quickly as we can rather. Okay, as you can see, I'm done with my own coding. So if you're done with yours, all you need to do right now is save your work, save it, and then you can try and view it in the browser. So I'm going to save mine now, and I will right click on the file tab here and try to see show in browser. I'm trying that for the first time anyway. So voila, that's mine. So let's wait for yours. When you're done, please put it in the chat window. Let me know that you are done. So once we've done ours, then I'll explain this code to us so that we get to understand it better. So if you're done, just type in the chat window, done. Type it, done, done, done. So I'll wait for us. I'm going to give us about a few minutes. Oh, well done, Esther. Well done, Esther. Esther and Blessing. Well done. Who else is done? Have you got the same result like I did? This is my result. Powder blue background, blue heading, and red paragraph. I hope you get the same result. Oh, great, Esther. Okay, so let's just wait for 2 more people to be done. Okay, well done, Busola. Well done. I may have 1 more person, then I'll explain the code. Just one more person, and I'll explain code. All right, well done, Yusuf. Okay, so I want you to look up to this code now. We all know what the doc type means, telling the browser that this is HTML5 documents, okay? It's an HTML5 code, all right? So then we have our HTML element, the opening tag here. We have the head element, the opening tag, and then followed by our style element. Our what? Style element. This is the internal style, internal CSS that we are defining here. It is residing inside the head tag, the head element. All right. So, so what we have here, as you can see here on my own code, it's here. This is my style. You can see it. So let's continue. So here you have body. Body here is saying that any CSS style that I put here should be applied to the body of this HTML file. Please, let's pay attention. I want to just explain this code to us so that we can understand properly. Body, this body and H1 and P, they are elements. So for CSS know that, okay, when you write body here, you're referring to the body tag or the body elements rather. When you write H1, you're referring to the H1 elements. And when you write P, you're referring to paragraph elements that exist within this HTML file. Okay, so in CSS, your CSS code is enclosed in a curly brace. This is the curly brace. They are usually enclosed in a curly brace like this. We all understand this background color, colon blue, and semicolon. We understand that. Always make sure you add semicolon to the end, because that means you are telling CSS that I'm done with this particular line of code. So this first line of style sheet will affect the body of this HTML file. Then the H1, it will affect all H1 elements in this file. We're going to try something very quickly. And then P, it will affect all P elements, all paragraph elements in this file. So what I want you to do now, I'm sure you've run your code already in a browser. But what I want us to do now is, remember, we only have one H1 tag here or element here, and we only have one P element here, paragraph element here. So let's do this. Just create another H1 element in your file there and say this is another heading. Full stop. Now let's create another paragraph element and say this is also another paragraph. Full stop. Now, if you've done that, save your work. Okay. Control S, save your work, and then go to your browser that you have run the code there before. Now let's refresh. Everybody just pay attention. Let's refresh. Now, can you see that the new headings that we put there is still carrying the same color? So also the paragraph is also carrying the same color. The reason that is that we have imputed inside our style sheet that all paragraph text must be in red color. All H1 element text must be in blue color. So any other H1 and paragraph text that you create here will always take that blue and red color respectively. Now, to prove that to you, let us put in another heading element, but this time around, let's use H2. All right. And I said this is the sub heading. Let me put it that way, subheading, okay? And instead of me using paragraph here, I could just use maybe something else. Say, which one do I always use before now? I'll just use this bold tag, okay? I say this text is bold. I hope I'm doing the right thing. All right, so I will save this again. Sorry, I'll save it again, then go back to my browser and I'll refresh. Can you see that the new heading, the subheading, is not taking the blue color? Neither is this bold text taking the blue color. All right, so I want to show you the power of CSS now. Okay, I'm going to duplicate these two. Please just pay attention, okay? You're going to get this file anyway. Just pay attention. I'm going to duplicate these two, okay? This is subheading again. I'll just put again here. I say this text is bold also here, all right? So I'm duplicating both of them and I'm saving my work. So I want to show you that your CSS, once you specify the elements, it will affect everything on that page. So we have these two here now. So what we want to do in our CSS code. So we scroll back to the top. Remember, we've added an H2 element. So we write H2, put a space, curly brace, color. Okay. Let's say color what now? Sorry, typing the wrong thing. Color what? Let's give it yellow. Let's say yellow or yellow green. Let's see what yellow green will look like. And I'll close it. Okay. And I'll say B, which is my bold. Open my this thing there, and I say color. Okay. And I say what color? Let's say pink. Let's say pink. All right. So I save my work. Okay. We've specified this now in our text, in our style. Let's go back here and refresh. Voila. Can you see that? Both of them changed. So instead of you, this is the power of CSS. Instead of you having to come into each of these elements and be styling them one by one, you can use your style sheet to do everything at once, so that anywhere this element appears on this page, it will automatically inherit your formatting or your style here. It will automatically inherit it by itself. Okay. Do we have a question here? All right, no question. So it will automatically inherit it by itself. So I hope we all understand. I hope we understand what I've shown us here. Please, if you don't understand, please let me know so that I can just take a step back to explain more. Or if there's a particular part of it that you don't understand, please let me know. What we have tried here is the internal CSS. Remember, I said we've been doing inline CSS since. All right, and that can be tedious if you have a lot of elements on your page that you need to style. So, but what this has done for us is just identify the element and give it the style you want to give it. Identify the element and give it the style that you wish to give it, and automatically those styles we inherit. I mean, the elements we inherit the styles automatically from that style sheet. I hope I'm making sense. So I'll try to minimize this now since there's no question from anybody. Okay, so let's proceed. So the external CSS, an external CSS style sheet is used to define the style for many HTML pages. To use an external style sheet, add a link to it in the head section. Add a link to it in the head section. Okay, I'll come back there. I think somebody wants to say something. Bidemi, you want to say something? Oh, yeah, you can mute yourself. You can unmute yourself.
I want to ask a question. So
I can't hear you. I know you're talking, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Or is it me? Let me check
Hello?
my audio settings. Sure, my audio setting is fine.
Hello, can you hear me?
Audio setting is fine. I'll advise you put it in the chat window. Just put it in the chat window, then I'll pick it up from there. Okay. Oh, you guys can hear him. Can you guys hear him? Because I can't hear him. Wow. So what's going on? What is going on? Let me check my audio settings. Audio setting is fine. I'm sorry I couldn't hear you, Mr. Oh, my audio setting is fine here. Test my speaker. Okay, I think there's something wrong. Something seems to be wrong somewhere. Just give me a minute to try and sort this out.
Hello? Hello?
You can go on. I can hear you from my computer system now.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, although I typed it already, I wanted to ask if, okay, maybe I was working already and I had inline CSS. Then maybe at some point, okay, like I had inline, right?
Yeah.
Then, okay, no, the first one we did. Then at some point I started creating the inline CSS.
Okay.
Which one? What is going
Now
to
we
happen?
take
Is it like
precedence, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I like to answer some questions by practicalizing it. So here's what we're going to do. So what he's saying is, now we have our style already defined in the head section. So what if we try to change this one now? I'm applying style to it right now. And we say color, okay, is, what color will I use now? Let's say brown. Color is brown, right? So I'll save my work. I'll go to the browser. I'll refresh. So just like as I thought, your inline CSS will take precedence over the one you put in your head section. All right, because the logic is for you to want to change the inline CSS, it means you're not comfortable, or you want to just use something else aside from what you have in your internal CSS. So your inline CSS will always take precedence over any other CSS that your document may be attached to, including the external one. All right. So we've seen that in action, and I guess that answers your question. So thank you for that question, Abidemi. God bless you. Okay, any other question from anybody before we move on? Excuse me. So we're talking about the external CSS rather. Okay, so the external CSS can actually be written, you can link it to your HTML file with this code here. Link, then this relation or something, style sheet, href, we then specify the name of the style sheet that you have your styles inside it. Okay, so you have the link element. Inside the link element, you use the rel attribute to tell the HTML file that the elements you are trying to, the kind of file or the kind of code you are trying to link is a style sheet. Okay, you can also use this link to link a JavaScript file. So then the href, of course, is telling you going to specify the location of that style sheet. If it's the same, if it's in the same folder as your HTML file, then you just go ahead and specify the name. But if not, you will specify the full part of that style sheet where it is located. I hope you understand this part. So if we come to the next slide, we'll see some style sheet that has been, some styles that has been, created in a style sheet. So the external style sheet can be written in any text editor, of course. The file must not contain any HTML code and must be saved in a .css file extension. So here's what it looks like. So if you're going to create your own style sheet now, okay, so inside this folder, day 5, the same folder as your own file exists, okay, I want to create a style sheet there. So we'll right click on it and we'll say new file. So usually I like to name the style sheet style. If it's just 1, if it's 2, I can now be giving it a customized name. But I usually name it styles or style.css. You must always ensure you add CSS to it, okay, to tell the VS Code that this is a CSS file, okay? So this is my style sheet here, all right? So what I'm going to do now is to mimic what we have done here, what we have created here inside my style sheet, okay? Then after that, I'll probably duplicate this file and then apply this external style sheet to it. Please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. If you are lost, please just put it there that you're lost and you let me know where your lost started from. Okay, it's good. If you don't understand something, please I will go back and explain to you, provided you're not taking me back to the first slide. Okay, please always ask questions if you don't understand something. I believe we are all getting it. So let's start coding our style sheet. I want you to create the style sheet now. If you have created yours, let me know. I should go back to the previous slide, which is this slide, right? Don't worry, we'll come back to this slide. We'll come back to this slide. And but I want us to write this style sheet first, this style first, and then we'll now go back to this slide because we are going to use this code here to link our style.css file to our HTML page. And then we'll see how that works. All right. So I'll soon go back there. Thank you, Busola. So, but for now, I want to code this. I want to write this code now in your .css file. Okay. Create a new file, name it style.css, ensure you add .css to it. Okay. So that VS Code, we know that this is a style sheet. And we provide you with as much intelligence as possible, or as much suggestions as possible while you are coding. So let's go. So the first one we have is body. I put a space, open my curly brace. Well, what am I doing? Open the curly brace and I press enter. This is how you write the style code. Okay, the CSS code inside the CSS file. All right, because it's external. So because I'm going to show us something soon, you can combine as many properties, background color, bold, whether it should be bold, the font style, everything, and that's why we are breaking it into the next line. So here we have background color. And we said it should be powder blue. So this curly braces you're seeing here is closing it up, which means it's closed. Always ensure you close your code. Then we go to the next one and say H1. Open curly brace again, press enter. You can put a space here if you like, doesn't really matter. Press enter. And then I set the color. to blue. I go down again and I say my paragraph text. Open my curly braces, go back down, color, and I set it to red. Okay. I can go back down and also define for H2 because I have H2 in my file. All right. And I can define the color for it. Say color yellow. Okay. Then I can go back down also and say, because I have the B element there, the bold element there, I can also give it a color of blue violet. Blue violet. Okay. So this style sheet that you've seen me created here, that I've created here, is the same as what will create all this one in our internal style sheet here. Okay, that's what I've created here in my style sheet. Any question here? No. The space doesn't matter. The space does not matter. It's just formatting. It's just you formatting, the thing. Like for example, if I select all, I can right click and I say format document or format selection. It doesn't really matter. So let's say I close this up and I select everything because I want the system to format it for me. I can say format document or format selection, and it will format everything for me. Where I need space, we put the space. So just formatting technique. If we are not using Visual Studio Code, of course, you just write your thing without space there as you like, and you'll be fine. The code will still run. It will still run. So please write that code, and I'll go back to the next slide, and show us how to link this style sheet to our HTML file. However, so let me just duplicate my own file here, copy. You can do the same at your hand. Right click and I will paste. Then I can rename it as, let me give it a name. I'll name it as X_style, just to indicate that it's the external style element that's there. So this is the new file. I will take away this. Let me see something. There's something that is in Visual Studio itself, I don't think it's in Visual Studio Code. Let me see if this is it. Yeah. So what I've done, I've decided to comment out all this line of the code here. Remember what I taught us yesterday? So I decided to comment out all the line of code there so that my browser will not have to translate it to anything. So that's what I've done there. So in your own new file as well, you can try to comment out the file or you just delete it entirely. It's up to you. You'll be fine anyway. So, but now we are going to use this line of code here. You can see it this link element to link up our style sheet. Remember your own style here. If you didn't have S at the end, please don't add S. This one have S. But let me just rename this one so that we are all on the same page. Styles. Okay, so that's fine. So it matches what we have here. Always take note of the name you're naming whatever you're working on. Okay, so still in the Edge section, let me take this out so that we don't get confused. So still in the Edge section, we can then add our link element. Okay, so we'll then do rel equal to style sheet. Make sure you're also coding too. Okay, then href for the location of the file styles. So it already knows that it exists there. So I just press enter. And I'll close my link there. So okay. Someone is asking how I comment out the code without me typing the comment tags. So what I did was that I selected the line I want to comment out. Then I went to edit here. Under edit, you see toggle line comment. And I select it. So it will comment it out for me. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Okay. I can select it again. All right. And I go back to edit. And say toggle line comments. So you want to comment it for me. So this particular code now, are we done typing? So I'm going to run mine right now, showing browser. Something is wrong somewhere. Is something wrong? Where's my what do I have as my background color for my style? Where's my style? Okay, yeah. Powder blue, yes. So why am I not getting the powder blue? I think there's something wrong somewhere. X. Save this already. Okay, the style is brown. Yeah. But my body is not appearing. Why? Please keep writing your code and please run your code at your hand. Let me know if you're having the same problem like mine, like I'm having here. Everything seems fine. Wondering why it's not giving me this color that I have here. Oh, you have same problem too. Interesting. Esther, are you having the background color as powder blue or is showing you white? Because I'm having white here. What's yours giving you? Is anybody having anything different from white? Anybody having anything different from white? Mine is white. I'm wondering why. Okay, that's changed now. I guess I didn't, was it that I didn't save my CSS? Okay, mine is showing powder blue now. Esther Mojo, you can try yours. Try refresh the page again. Save the CSS file, then try refresh the page again. Okay, so mine is now taking up the powder blue and it's taking every style that I've done. So others, I hope you are trying at your hand too. Ensure you save the file, both the CSS file and the HTML file. Make sure you save them, then you refresh your browser. Okay. So is it working at your end? Please let me know. I'm waiting for others, so this thing is not supposed to take too much time. So please, if you are done, just type done. Okay. If you're done, please type done at your hand. Esther Mojo, Esther, I'm blessing a Mojo. Are you still having that problem or is fine now? Okay, Give me a minute while we are waiting for others. Give me a minute. Okay. Okay, well done, James. It's not showing background color. Are the color of your text, the H1 element and the paragraph, are they changed or they're in black and black? Mr. Paul, are they in black or they are in those different colors that you specified? One thing I want you guys to ensure, take note of the name of your style sheet. Okay, of your style sheet here. Mine here is styles with an S at the end, .css. Okay, the same name is what you will use here. Here. Please take note of that. When you're done, save your work, save both the HTML and the CSS file. So when you want to now view in a browser, you can right click on this tab, the name of the file here at the top. Right click and say show in browser. And it will open it up for you in the browser. Okay, so I hope we've gotten it. We're going to move on now. So Paul, just ensure that the file name you specified in this link element is the same as the name that you named your style sheet. When you've done that, you can refresh and you should be fine. Okay. So you should be fine. How the rest of us have been able to write this code, though. If you're having problem, just indicate and let's work it out. because I'm not seeing many of us telling me that you're done. I'm not sure why. All right, Hidayat. So Hidayat, you are here. Good. All right, Paul, thank God you got it now. All right, so let's proceed and let's move on. So, okay, this is where we are. Here we will demonstrate some commonly used CSS properties. We will learn more about them later. So CSS color property defines the text color to be used. CSS font family property defines the font to be used. And CSS font size property defines the text size to be used. Okay, those are what they do. These are just common CSS properties that we've been using anyway. All right, so if you look at this document, you will see the different font size that we have here. Again, this is an internal CSS. Like we've said before, we'll be working with this in this HTML course. Maybe later on when we start our CSS module, we can then start using the external CSS as well. So if you can just write out this code for me, create a new file and quickly create this code and then you run it. So while you're doing yours, I'm going to be doing mine here as well. As usual, I copy this file that I have here already, or let me create a new file from scratch. Right click on the folder name, day 5, and I say new file. Then I'll say common styles or common property. Let me just say styles property. .html. Bam. So as you are writing your code, I will also be writing mine here, doctype. Ensure you are coding because practice makes perfect. I have a chart here. No, this new file is .html, not CSS. This is not a CSS document that we are looking at here. .html, the new file I just created, is that what you're referring to? Okay, cool. .html. Your CSS file, your .css file cannot contain HTML code at all. It can't. Okay, you will just download the entire thing. So in my head session or head element, and then I'm then going to add style elements. And now I can start styling H1. You can see right here, we'll write it the way we've been writing it inside the style sheet itself, because we want to specify multiple properties. So you have color, you can still give it blue. Then font family. Font family, choose any of this. I can say Arial. If your font name is having 2 words, more than 1 word, you have to put it in single quote. Arial narrow, put it in single quote. Then we'll close this. Then we have font size. How we got what I said, if the value of your font is more than a word, please put it in single quotes and close them in single quotes. Font size 300%. So that's that for the H1 elements. We'll move next to the P elements. So since I have the same values, I can just simply copy and paste. All right. So that's how you speed up your coding. So I'll go back under the add element and I put my body element. And then I'll put in my H1. This is a heading. Full stop. My paragraph text. This is a paragraph. Full stop. Now I am done. Who is done? Who else is done? I'll save my work. I'll try to view it in the browser. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, this is what I have based on the details I used. My paragraph is supposed to be smaller. I'm using paragraph at, let me change this to 160 like I have in the code here. So 160, I save my work, come here, I reload, and that's it. We got a chart. Okay, Solar is done. The diet is done. Esther is done. Well done, guys. Well done. Well done. Well done. So that's that for that one. We're moving forward. We are getting a grasp of what we can do with style sheets. There's a whole lot you can do with style sheets. A whole lot. So CSS border. Remember yesterday we created border with our inline code. So today we're going to create it again with the internal one. Yes, Esther Yola, well done. So the CSS border property defines the border around an HTML element. You can define a border for nearly all HTML elements as you like. So what we're going to do, I'm going to edit. I think you should do the same as well. So I'm going to add to my paragraph here, my paragraph element here in the style sheet. I mean, in the style element, okay, in the new file you created, I'm going to add this line of code. I think you should do the same as well so that we see it in action. Border. Say border. What's the size? 2 pixels. What solid color? Style solid. And then what's the color? Powder blue. So give it a powder blue color. That's our border. When you're done, save your work. Go back to your browser, reload. You can see our paragraph is now having a border. Our paragraph is now having a border around it. Okay. So I want to believe you've done yours also. If you've done it, just put done in the chat window. So we can move to the next next one. Well done, Busola. Well done, Esther Omojowo and Blessing. Well done. So let's move forward. Padding. I think I've told us about padding before. I said padding has to do with this. Anyway, let's put it in action, and so I don't confuse you. Well done, Esther Yola. So I don't confuse you. So still on the paragraph elements, add this code also. This two line of code. I mean, no, this line of code. All you need to add now is the padding, the one below. That's all you need to add to it. We already have that first one, so we add the one below to it. Just add it in there and say padding. You know how you pad something now. Now that's what we are saying here as well. 30 pixel. All right. So that being done, we save our work. And then you reload and then see what happens. What's going to happen is that there's going to be much space between the top, the right, the bottom, and parts of this paragraph text. So the distance between the border and the top of your text will change. The distance between the the border and the right side of your text will change. Same applies to the underneath as well, including even the right side. So I'm going to refresh this page now. You can see what happened. So what we have done here is we've padded it. We've padded the paragraph text. In other words, you've added some pad from the border. You've added some padding space, in between. So these are the ways you can style your paragraph, your document in your own way, as you like. Anyhow you want to do it, you can do it. All right. Once you know your CSS style sheet properly, you'll be able to style your page as much as possible. Okay. So have we done that? Have we added the padding code? Please, if you have added, please just put done for me so that I'll know that we are following. Have we added it? Who is done? Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Well done, Esther Blessing. Well done, Idayat. Well done, Esther Yola. Well done, guys. Good, good, good. Please, I hope others are also doing the same thing. Very important that you practice. Very important that you practice. That's the thing about coding. You have to keep doing it. All right. So let's move on. Margin. Now, margin is the opposite of padding. Remember, padding, the space was inside. But margin, that space will now be outside the border. All right. Padding, the space was inside the border. Margin will take the space outside the border. So this is what I'm going to do using the same text. So I'm going to add margin to it. However, I'll take padding away so that we're not looking at something so funny. Uh-oh. So here, I'm going to try to comment out padding. Where's my menu? Edit, toggle line comments. So you will discover that the comment here is different from the normal HTML comment. This is a comment for commenting for CSS style sheets, but don't be confused, just leave it like that. Okay, so I've added padding and margin to it. I'll save my work. I'll reload my browser and see what goes on. Now, what we've seen here is that we now have a margin around this paragraph. You can see that the paragraph has moved in, like it's indented. So that's what margin does. Margin, we add space around it. Padding, we add space within it. So that's what happens, okay? All right. So don't worry, I'm going to drop this file for us today, later today, and we will be able to have access to it. All right, so let's go on. So link to external CSS, which we have done. Please, let's pay attention here so that we don't get confused. Please, let's pay attention here so that we don't get confused. External style sheet can be referenced with a full URL or with a part relative to the current page. Now, what we are saying here, for example, below is a full URL link to a style sheet. Your style sheet can be existing or be located on another website. Okay, that is possible. So once you can specify the link properly, it will pick it. Your website, your code will pick it. Right? Your server is online, it will pick it. All right. So as you can see, this one now is residing inside 7studiosng.com in a folder called HTML. And then this is the file. All right. So you can also reference, bring in your style sheet, even if it's residing anywhere on the internet. That's what this is saying to us. Okay. This example to a style sheet located in the HTML folder on the current website. So the one at the top is linking to an external website. So this one below is referencing a current website. All right. So if I, for example, where is this thing? If my style sheet here wasn't directly inside the file folder, if it's in another folder, say for example, let me create a new folder here. and I call it, let me just call it CSS folder, okay? And now copy, let me create a copy. I copy this, and I pasted a copy here. I mean, paste. So I have a style sheet here. Now, by the time I want to reference this style sheet in my code, which I'm going to go to now, okay, here. All right, but let me change the name here so that we can understand properly. Let me change the name to my underscore sheets, I mean styles. All right, now let's just pay attention. So I want to change, what I'm going to do here is just like what they did here for us. So you have the folder HTML / sorry, my own folder is not HTML. My own folder is CSS, sorry, CSS, okay? And here we go. Now, remember me, I'm not adding this / because that's the way my own browser can see it. So your browser may be able to see it with the / before the name of the folder. But let's see if my browser can see it anyway. So I save my file and I say show in browser. Voila, you can see that it's the same thing. This is the old one, this is the new one. It's all the same thing because I have referenced this file properly, specifying the folder name / the file name itself. Okay, that's what I've done here. And this is where this is the one I'm working with now. I'm not working with this one currently from the code that we can see. That's this one. Do we understand? So if it's residing in any other folder, you have to specify it. So take, for example, if I create a new folder inside that particular CSS folder, and I say, let me say sheets, okay? If I move this guy now into this sheet folder, which I'm just doing now. Now I've moved it inside this sheets folder, okay? If I go back to my browser and I refresh this, there will be a problem. So all the styles they are gone. Okay. The reason this one is still having this color is because we have an inline style that we specified. Just remember that. So what I need to do here, I need to come back to my CSS and I say, I'll put the name of the folder. Sorry, put this / first, then name of the folder, sheets, correct? Yeah. So that's it. All I need to do is to save, go back to my browser, I right click and then reload. Voila. So you must be able to specify that part correctly. We call it file part. You must be able to specify it correctly, okay, for your HTML document to be able to access it. Whatever change I make in this style sheet now, it will affect every other element. I mean, depending on the element I specify right there. There's a way of of identifying certain kind of elements if you don't want them to take the entire, like for example, let me just give an example. Now you have your H1 element and a particular part of the H1 element, you don't want it to take the style from the, you don't want it to take the general styling that you are giving all HTML and all H1 elements. Okay, what you then do, which you will see later, is to assign an ID value to that H1 element on your HTML document, and then specify the ID value inside your CSS file. I know that kind of doesn't make sense to you now, but we'll see it in action. Now, I hope we all understand this page. Please, if you don't, just let me know. I hope we all understand it. Okay, if you have questions, please put it in the chat window. Let's move forward. So this example links to the same folder. We've done this already, and I'm sure we understand it. So this is a summary of all what we've done and this evening. And the next thing we are going to is HTML links. But before we open up HTML links, please, do we have any question? Do we have any question? While you are thinking or typing your question, let me take a sip of water. I'll be right back. All right. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I should come to if I should do this HTML links today with you because of what we've done all the way from under CSS. I would want us to go and revise the CSS very well. So what's going to happen is I'm going to try and give us an assignment on this CSS. You create it yourself anyway. If you have not marked your register, please go ahead and mark your register before it gets locked up. So I'm going to give us an assignment. I'm going to post it tonight. It's going to be about CSS, okay? Just to help us to practice. And that's what I'm going to do. I kind of don't want to go to HTML links now because I think this CSS that we've done, I would like you to practice and practice and practice. Yeah, but for the HTML link, I think what we have there is about hyperlinks. We talk about hyperlinks, and then we talk about targets and all that. But I don't want this CSS to leave your mind today. So we'll probably continue HTML links tomorrow. We'll start with HTML links tomorrow, after which we have done our assignment on the CSS. So I'll give you an assignment tonight. The deadline will be tomorrow night. Okay, so before that deadline, I believe you should have submitted your assignments. I'm going to also show us how we can, I've showed us how to submit files already yesterday. So if you need to refresh, you can go back to that recording and watch it again, how to submit your own file. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be internal CSS coding for you, just as we have done tonight. So I'm going to give you the instructions, what to do, and you'll be able to work with it. So, but please, let's leave HTML links for tonight and we'll do it tomorrow night. Okay, because I want you to try in your own time, just practice this CSS, practice it different. The thing about Visual Studio Code is that it gives you some suggestions. So you can try the different suggestions that you have: font size, font weight, font decoration, and different things like that. Okay. And then you'll be able to get to know it properly, because CSS is something that you must know. You have to know it when you are talking about designing a website or web programming and all that. You need to know it. Okay. So I would like us to end the class for tonight here. Apologies. I don't want anything to kick out what you've learned on CSS tonight. But please, is there any question from anybody? Does anybody have any question? Any question from anyone? Okay, someone is raising a hand. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
I wanted to ask concerning our former assignment. Would
Yeah.
there be like, when would it be marked, and would there be like a correction, like?
Yeah.
Could...
There will be correction. There'll be correction. I've been too busy, that's why I've not marked it, but there'll be correction for that assignment. Just that some people are finding it difficult to submit. That's why I don't want to do the correction now. So maybe tomorrow we can look at the correction. If by tomorrow people are still, I think it's going, the deadline is even tonight anyway. So if you are having problems submitting your assignment, please go back to yesterday's video and watch the way I did it. Okay, so that you can understand how to do your own. All right, I think I have a question. Okay, what's the difference between internal and external CSS? Okay, very good question. I'll show you with the code. Now, your internal CSS, there are three types of CSS that we have. We have inline, and we have internal, and then we have external. Now, inline, by using the style attribute, that's the one we've been doing before. And that's the one that we did here. Let me show you. Where are you? Okay, you can see the H1 tag here. Then we have the style attribute equal to color column brown. That is inline CSS. This is inline CSS here. All right. Now, internal CSS. Let's go to internal CSS. Where's my stuff? Is this it? Okay, good. So this is internal CSS, the one you define using the style elements inside your H element. I mean your head element. This is internal CSS. Okay, the first one I showed you is inline CSS, while this one now is internal CSS. Okay, the external CSS is the one where you create a CSS file separately. The CSS file does not contain any HTML code at all. So you create a separate CSS file separately, and then you go to your HTML code or HTML file, and then link it up to that CSS style sheet that you've created using the link element. Okay, using these link elements. That is what we call external CSS. Okay, this rel we only tell, see, this attribute name is relationship of the linked document to the current document. The attribute must be a space separated for the list. If they are lists, you must separate with space. So it just tells the HTML document that this is a style sheet. So treat it as a style sheet. And then the reference, the URL to where that style sheet is residing, where you store the style sheet, where you saved it, is what you're going to put in here. All right. I hope you understand the three of them now. There is inline by using the style attribute inside the HTML elements, internal by using the style element inside the head section, then external by using the link elements to link to an external CSS file. I hope that answers your question, Mr. James. Great, great. I'm glad you understand now. Okay, any other question from anybody? Any other question from anyone? Okay, so if there's no question, we'll continue tomorrow. All right, continue tomorrow. We'll start from the HTML links. All right, that's chapter 14. So we'll start from chapter 14 tomorrow. Please, let's be punctual in class. I don't like when people come in when we've gone halfway already. I'm not just comfortable with it. So please, let's be punctual. 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. If I were you, I'll set up an alarm on my phone that will be reminding me when it's time or when it's 8 o'clock, so that I don't get to forget. Okay. So I think that will be all for tonight, since there's no question from anybody. I'll get your assignment up tonight as well, for that will help you to practice your CSS. All right. So thank you guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow's class will start by, it's supposed to be 10 o'clock, right? 10 to 1. You start from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. tomorrow. That's in the morning. Please, let's take note. Tomorrow is Saturday. In the morning, we start by 10 to 1 p.m. So thank you. Or let me even ask. The 10 to 1 p.m., is it fine by you? I think it's fine by everybody anyway. Yeah, so let's just stick to 10 to 1 p.m. All right. So thank you guys. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow. If there's going to be any changes, I'll let you know, of course, by God's grace. So see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night and have a splendid night rest. Thank you and bye-bye for now.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, Paul, I can hear you.
Can we have the video tonight, sir?
I'll try my
Can we have
best.
the video tonight, sir?
I'll try my best. I usually post it same night anyway. So
Okay, sir.
I'll try and do that tonight too.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, sir. Bye, sir.